Before the podcast starts, we unfortunately don't have any of the Man City or Tottenham chat. I think Zoom just kind of decided not to work for that bit, but um, the Jamie, Charlie, Luke, and Connor all went with City wins. I went Tottenham 2-1. I think the majority of them went kind of 3-1 or 3-0. We didn't really chat much about it, to be honest with you. Um, I think we were just kind of discussing Tottenham's bad form recently. The kind of three wins, three losses in the last 5 games has put Mourinho under pressure, and we were just discussing on an Irish perspective how Matt Doherty's been doing, and he'll probably start on the weekend too. I think we were thinking about maybe Mourinho deploying a back five so he gets the best out of Doherty. Um, Positive for that, of course, it has to be the biggest game of the weekend that gets cut out. Couldn't be just an Arsenal game that no one cares about. But yeah, enjoy the rest and don't forget to subscribe, please.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the False Nine podcast. I'm joined once again by Connor, Luke, Charlie, and a special guest, Jamie, who's a good friend of mine who I've known for a while. He's a Chelsea fan. I think the recording just paused there for some reason, so I might go just if you could say that again. I don't know why. I don't know why it paused, but I think it paused just before I asked you, so we'll go again with that. Leicester v Liverpool, right? You were saying kind of Kabak is probably going to start. How important do you think having Henderson back in midfield as well to kind of
I th-
bring some
I
energy?
said it before. Like, is his energy in midfield, and he just at the moment, especially obviously with the games being behind closed doors and the pitch side microphones picking up everything. Like, you only realize then how vocal he is and how much he sort of authority he has on the pitch. And like, you see him especially in the big games. Like, Charlie doesn't like him, but Henderson and Milner, they're, as he calls them, passion merchants. But I think
Hang on, you were releasing shouting comps of Henderson. Like, have some shame.
What do you mean? That's
no, but
important.
no, they do need a bit of that in midfield though, because I think they've been too passive in midfield. They haven't been aggressive enough. They haven't been like dynamic. Thiago and Henderson, we've seen them play before. They play well together. And obviously Kabak, like, they need to have a recognised centre back on the pitch instead of just throwing their best midfielders at the back.
Yeah, I want to see Kabak and Fabinho. I wouldn't want Fabinho back in midfield, but he's going to play centre back 100%. I think Keita and Jota, the game's come a bit too soon, which is annoying. I would like to see Keita play. Luke, right now, what like for Liverpool now? How kind of? I think it's only way up from here. To be honest, with you, 9 points the last 9 games. How important is this game for us to try get our season back on track?
I think it's actually like really important because if you look at this game, it's basically a battle for top four game. So if you lose, Chelsea could be right on your tail, and then it's a real scrap for the top four positions. Whereas if you win, you can kind of assert your place in the top four and actually try and push on from there instead of looking behind you. So I think you are a bit worried about the teams coming behind you at the moment, whereas you should probably start looking at the teams above you if you actually start to win a few games. I'm not talking about catching City because I don't think that's possible, but you should probably be going for second place once you get Jota and Keita back.
Yeah, second place is probably aim now, and obviously the Champions League coming up. I think for us tomorrow, I think the team, we can definitely put a strong team out, 100%. I think we'll probably put our strongest possible team out. I'd like to see maybe if we're having Henderson and Thiago midfield, I probably would take out Wijnaldum, and I'd probably play Jones maybe. Try to think who else we can play. Yeah, no, Jones I'd say is best at the moment. See, the thing with Jones is I actually like him, but I think he doesn't really. He needs to kind of grow a pair in terms of like trying to play the forward pass, like a forward pass. He always seems to turn back and stuff like that, and I think he kind of looks good in the eye because it's just how he plays and his ball retention is good. But I think he does need to kind of develop that part of the game, especially against deep blocks. It's frustrating to watch him. Charlie on Leicester, Rodgers has them in third. He had them high up last season. Do you think like if they win this now, will people start taking them properly? Like obviously people are taking them seriously, but we saw what happened last year. They slipped away. Do you think it's a win here on Saturday? Sorry, could kind of change the perception that they might slip away again?
I think if they won, then maybe people would start changing their minds. But again, last season and I think the season before as well, they were top four and they just started getting really sloppy results. Started dropping points to the lesser teams, and it cost them out top four in the end. I think they have been slightly unlucky going into this game because apparently Justin went off on a stretcher during the week. Fofana can't play either, so Soyuncu and Evans are probably going to play at the back if they're both available. I think he might have gone with a back three if Fofana had been available, but obviously he's not anymore. Ricardo will probably come in at one of the fullback areas, so they still have quite a strong team. I think it should be a good game. I think it's the early kickoff, which Klopp doesn't like, I've heard, but I think Leicester can definitely get something out of this game. It depends how they play really. If they just sit back and wait to hit you on the break, they could get some joy considering your centre backs are dodgy, and I'm pretty sure Vardy's available, so he could have some joy in behind. I think Liverpool definitely need to win this game if they're serious about getting back on track. If they don't, then they could genuinely miss out on top four if they're not careful.
Yeah, I think Vardy, I hate playing against Vardy. Jamie, I think Charlie just alluded to there, but it just reckon the kind of main kind of tactic for Leicester is, and it has been, I think they did it a lot when they came to Anfield last couple of seasons, is just to try and get Vardy in behind. Or can you see them even controlling the game, considering we're low on confidence and we're not really backing ourselves in possession at all recently?
The way Leicester have been playing, I can see them dominating the midfield battle. Because with Jordan Henderson and Fabinho playing in defence the last couple of games, if one of them moves back to centre mid, it's going to take a game for them to readjust to the intensity of centre mid. And I don't think, although Liverpool have their best attack, their team, watching them recently, just looks very dysfunctional. And I know it's mainly because of Van Dijk being out. There's no transition play. But it's a lot of just give the ball to Thiago, hope Thiago can pick out a through ball to Mane or Salah and see what happens. And I don't think with Soyuncu playing in centre-back in front of Thiago, cutting off these passing lanes, I don't think we'll see Mane or Salah, one of them, in the game as much as you'd like. And I don't see Liverpool getting a result. I think they'll just keep slipping as they are. I think I've seen a stat where they have the worst point drop-off of any team in the league this year.
Yeah.
And I know last year was a freak year and they went out so far ahead to start, but losing a couple of players shouldn't collapse your season as much as it has.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm worried about like this game, to be honest. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that even like you said, I don't even think Mane, especially Mane. Actually, I can't mention Mane because I apparently have an agenda against him. But like Mane usually, like with us for the last couple of years, Mane's been the one who's like constantly in games. Where Salah, you'd see Salah kind of even go some games, but he'd still get goals. Mane, you'd constantly see him every game, taking on his man. But recently hasn't been like that. I think I'm really hoping the front three show up on Saturday. I think it's so pivotal if we have any chance, to be honest with you. I think the midfield battle will be interesting. I'm not 100% sure who's fit for them, but it's Tielemans and Maddison are fit, yeah? And
Ndidi probably as well.
Right, yeah.
So probably play the Ndidi, Tielemans, and then Maddison ahead of them.
We could be in trouble.
Probably Harvey Barnes and Perez, and then Vardy up top.
Yeah, we could be in trouble, But I think also the fullbacks as well. Well, Trent and Robinson, especially Trent, really need them to kind of step up. This game, they're going to be showing. I think we need everyone to be at it. I think if we win, it'll set us up nicely for the rest of the season because the Champions League next week, isn't it? Yeah, it's the next week against Leipzig. So we need to start picking up wins at some point. Yeah, but Connor, lastly, just bringing it on to the midfield battle that Jamie was mentioning. Obviously, I think Thiago and Henderson will probably start. Who would you like to see in there? I said Jones, but who would you personally like to see in there?
Yeah, I've gone with Jones as well. I kind of was saying that Wijnaldum might be a sort of safer bet, like he's more experienced, he's proven, but I feel like you need someone like Curtis Jones who's a bit more sort of, I don't know, like sort of more attacking minded. Like Wijnaldum is kind of he injects energy into the midfield, but like Henderson already does that. I feel like we need something a bit different. But yeah, I go with it's like Thiago, Henderson. I think they're nailed on. Then I think obviously Kaida's not fully ready
I
yet.
would have loved Kaiser to fit.
I think it is Jones and Wijnaldum. It's between the two of them, and I go Jones at the moment.
Yeah, I wish he was fit, to be honest. Yeah, Kai, I think he played really well last season. We played them away really well, and he seems to kind of relish playing against Leicester. He's had some really good performance, and this season as well he has. I think Jones played well against Leicester when we beat them at home. So, I think it just depends what Liverpool what Liverpool shows up. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully Kabak has a good game. I think he will start, to be honest with you. I think that's kind of the hope really for me. It's weird because usually I'd go into these type of games confidence, but not at the moment anyway. But we're gonna go around score predictions. I'll go first. Right. Even though I've literally been so negative about us, I'm gonna say I'm oh geez. I wanna go 2-1 Liverpool. Luke, what are you saying?
Yeah, I think Liverpool will actually win this game. I'm going to go 2-1 to Liverpool as well.
That's the insight from Luke. That's a guaranteed win. Connor.
Yeah, I feel like I think Liverpool show up in the big games. They've good record against Leicester. Obviously, I think last week against City was just sort of like a bit of a blip, but I'm gonna go for Liverpool win as well. I was gonna say 2-1. We've all gone for that, so I'm gonna go 2-0 instead.
Charlie.
0-0.
Fair. Jamie.
Another big game.
You're wrong, Charlie. You're wrong.
Jamie, what are you saying?
2-0 Leicester.
Fair. To honestly, like honestly, at this point, like I can't even like 2-0 Leicester is probably more likely than 2-1 Liverpool to be honest currently. But moving on to West Brom v United. Obviously, United coming off disappointing kind of conceding a last minute equaliser against Everton. But West Brom are awful, to be honest with you. Charlie, I think United fans has been a bit of kind of debate over who should start certain games and stuff like that. So seeing that, like who would you see starting this game for United, especially probably in midfield? Because I think the defence and even the attack actually, who would you see starting the attack as well?
I think if Boy is available, I'd play Boy because Lindelof is apparently like there's something wrong with his back. He played 120 minutes.
Is Lindelof carrying an injury? Because I swear he was meant to be out for the season.
Yeah, he was meant to get an operation that he didn't get or something. But anyway, so Lindelof is carrying a back injury. So I played Boy considering he played 120 minutes during the weekend a match on Saturday. I would play Cavani this game as well because West Brom are going to play deep. We're going to have to get crosses in. His, Mr. Movement himself, his movement's going to be good.
Yeah.
Someone I would like to see on the bench is Rashford because he's pissing me off. He also played 120 minutes during the week, played on Saturday, played the game before that. He was shocking again, in my opinion, but, we got an assist, so he must have played well. I think he needs to...
Midfield. Fred's been kind of the one who's been heavily criticised at the moment. I think it's kind of unfair on him because it was because Pogba went off and then Fred came on and it was just like, oh, well, Fred doesn't offer what Pogba does. And like, well, Pogba's meant to be one of the best midfielders in the world. That's how it works. So, do you think you see him starting this game, or do you see maybe a McTominay Matic pivot, or even I was going to say Van der Beek, but probably not, to be honest.
I don't think Fred will play. I think McTominay came on as a sub during the week. Matic only played 80 minutes, so they'll probably play as a 2, I would suggest. I thought Fred was really bad in the first half against, who was it again? West Ham. Yeah, his passing was shocking. I don't know if you watched it, but he seems he can hit 40-yard passes in the air, but if you ask him to play a 10-yard pass along the floor, it seems to be a problem for him.
Like, the thing about Fred is
strange.
The thing about Fred, like, obviously he had a bad game, but I think the last couple of seasons he hasn't had many bad games. I don't rate him very highly, but I think as a DM, I kind of like the idea of McTominay and Fred, because I think McTominay is box to box. The fact he was playing DM for as long as he was a joke. I think he's a better box to box player. So I'd say Fred might play, when is it, Saturday or Sunday? I can't remember. But Luke, Shaw or Tellez? That's the real question.
I think it has to be Shaw, to be honest. I mean, if you look at, he just doesn't deserve to be dropped on current form. But like, you can see the way that when Tellez plays, Ollie's subbing Shaw on. So obviously, Ollie rates Shaw a lot higher than Tellez, and Shaw is clearly his first choice. So I would expect Shaw to play, considering he didn't play against West Ham until extra time. So yeah, I think Shaw will come back in.
Yeah, Connor on West Brom, Big Sam. Obviously, can you see them getting a result, or where will Allardyce be looking at to try target United?
I think I don't see West Brom doing anything here, to be honest. I think it'll be comfortable enough for United. I know Charlie, he's secretly quite confident, which is he's often secretly confident and then it backfires. He's not going to say it now, but no, I think West Brom, like, Sam Allardyce will try and go out and he'll try and sort of get under the skin, be physical and stuff like that, but they don't have the quality to compete with United, especially I think if they have Cavani up front, like, Cavani will score against West Brom. It's almost a given.
Yeah, and Jamie.
And I see it being quite comfortable for United, to be honest. I think their midfield, I think McTominay, I know you're talking about him now, I think he is playing very well at the moment.
He is. No, he actually
as you said, Bruno Fernandes, he's almost like a one-man team, isn't he? So even if United are struggling, like, he'll probably just win a penalty and score, won't he?
Yeah, speaking on Bruno Fernandes, Jamie, like, obviously Bruno Fernandes, these the type of games he relishes. Like, obviously he doesn't relish a big game, he never shows up, but in these kind of against poor opposition, it's perfect for him. I think we obviously drew to West Brom 1-1, and we were kind of missing that Bruno type player to try pick a lock or something. So do you see this as a perfect game for him just to really stamp his authority?
I think he'll put his authority in the midfield, but I don't, depending on who's playing in front of him, I don't really see how well he'll, like, transition the ball forward, because West Brom are more than likely going to play deep. They're going to play 5 at the back, 2 or 3 at the back. So him in the pocket against 2 centre defensive midfielders and 3 centre backs trying to pick out Cavani or whoever's in front of him, I think he'll play well, but I don't think he'll have the same impact as he wants to. And I think if United start Rashford on the left, it's only going to hurt them.
Yeah, I think Rashford's been, his overall play's been really poor recently. I think if you look at stats, if he improves on his decision making, he's definitely going to be a world beater, because the stats are pretty good still. But moving quickly on to predictions, I'm going to go to you, Connor, first, because I know you're shooting off for work. West Brom United at the Hawthorns, what are you saying?
I'm going to go for a 3-0 United win. I think Cavani will score, and I think Bruno will score as well. Okay,
I'm going to say 2-0 United. I'm saying Martial's going to score, because he has to eventually, surely he needs to, and Cavani score as well. So I'm going 2-0 United. Luke?
3-0 United. Surely we beat West Brom.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah. Charlie?
2-1 to United. We'll do that thing where we concede early and then turn it round.
And Jamie.
1-0 West Brom. They're going to get a counter attack with a ball over the top. United aren't ready.
Who do they even play up front? Is it Grant or something?
I don't know, but it's Sam Allardyce football, so just hoof and hope for the best.
Yeah. Moving on now to Chelsea, Newcastle. Jamie, your team. So, I'll go to you first.
Right, lads. I'm heading off then to work. All right.
Adios, Connor. It was Chelsea v Newcastle. Tuchel has had a good start. How have you in general? How have you found it so far? Like I know you were kind of agreed with the sacking of Lampard. If I'm not wrong, I could be wrong, so correct me. But how have you found it so far? Do you like what type of football you're starting to play? Is there anything you've seen different? What's your thoughts so far?
I did agree with the sacking of Frank Lampard. I thought he was given enough time and enough budget in the summer to work his team into a position to get top four, and he was struggling. So bringing in Tuchel, it looks like a revitalized team. Kovacic is playing like he did last season. He's just the transition play he brings is the best in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then the way he's using Hudson-Odoi as a wing back and a winger and just involving him more in the play that's what Frank was missing. He didn't have that fast pacey winger with Pulisic being out injured, and he didn't really use Odoi. He preferred to have Havertz or Mount on the wing with Werner. And I think if Tuchel keeps Werner in the middle, I know he hasn't scored in a while, but he's picking up man of the matches. He has the most assists in the Chelsea team this season. His play around the box of the opposition team, although he doesn't score every game or he hasn't scored in a while, his playmaking ability has improved greatly since he came over from Germany. I think that helped when he did miss a Champions League final with Leipzig, or a semi-final. But coming over early, developing the skills to kind of target weaker defenses in England, I think he'll score this weekend if he starts. But I think it's just about time he will score. He'll score eventually.
Yeah. On Chelsea, I'm very interesting because Kovacic is one of those players, as you mentioned. He's really 50-50 with all football fans. Some people don't like him, some people do. I quite like him, to be fair. I think his ball retention is good. His ability to kind of transition the play and stuff like that. I think he worked well with Jorginho. I think at times the pivot of the Jovicic, as Chelsea fans call it, that pivot sometimes isn't the best at times, but I think it's probably your best pivot. And obviously the Hudson-Odoi stuff's interesting because if you've actually realised, obviously him and Tuchel seem really close already, pretty close. I think Tuchel really rates him, and I think a lot of the media stuff coming out in this Chelsea socials, a lot of it has been Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi's been taking interviews. So as I've said before, I see him as this kind of Tuchel's kind of poster boy. But I look at that Chelsea attack and the kind of midfield forward, and there's so many options. Mount's been playing really well this season. I've always rated Mount. I think he's such a good player. I love him at Liverpool, but I don't see it happening. Obviously Werner is starting to. I think Tuchel's starting to play suits him better. Obviously Hudson-Odoi now. Pulisic is a bit injury prone, but still to come back, or he might be feeling much there. But on Havertz, Jamie, I wanted to ask you this on Havertz. I've been waiting to ask a Chelsea fan on Havertz. What do you think his best position is, and do you think he can fit into Tuchel's system at some point?
I think with Tuchel playing three at the back for the minute, he doesn't really fit because he can't play in a midfield two, and he can't really play as one of the front three. But I only think Tuchel's playing three at the back because of injuries. I think when Kante is fully fit and comes back in for Jorginho, we could go four at the back and then play him as kind of a traditional number 9. Because you have to, last season, his first half of the season was woeful, and then his second half of the season he had 24 goal involvements in 22 games, and he's 20. So I don't see this is why Twitter annoys me, is they jump on his back constantly, but then give every other young player a bypass because They're only young. They're learning the game. He's come over to a new country as a 20-year-old,
Do you know
barely
why?
speaks English,
Yeah,
doesn't know the system, and he's been hampered because of it.
yeah,
But I think if we use him in the cups and we use him in different competitions that aren't the Premier League solely, he'll improve to the intensity of the English game.
hmm yeah. You know why Havertz is getting slandered? Number one is price tag. Number two, he's obviously, you said he's young, but he's not English, so of course people are gonna jump on his back, like all the time. I bet you what, if Sancho comes over for 100 and something million, I know he's slightly older, might be the same age actually. He won't be. No one will jump on his back because it's just the English bias. I really do think that's a thing. I'd say you guys can see it too as well. Charlie, just for Newcastle, they beat Southampton last time out. The thing with Newcastle, it's actually weird because, like, obviously, I don't think the fans are they're not kind of huge advocates for Steve Bruce's type of style of play. But do you think for Newcastle, just in general, the just surviving it should be the aim, or considering the size of their club, but they claim their club is big, do you think they should be aiming higher?
I don't think Newcastle should be fighting relegation at all with the squad they have. I know they have been unlucky with injuries and the coronavirus. Every time I watch them, they seem to have like a different team out. Like one game it's Hayden and Shelby, the next it's the two long staffs, the next it's Hayden and one of the long staffs. They need to actually pick something that like works and just stick with it. Like it's now you can't just chop and change formations, players. I know that some of that has been forced due to their injuries, but I think St. Maximin is back now. He's gonna help them get up the table, I'd say. But they're really inconsistent. Like they beat Everton and then I think they lost their next game and then they beat Southampton. So like they need to just get some consistency to their game. I think Joe Linton has been a big disappointment. What did he cost? Like 40 million or something?
Yeah.
And I don't even think he's got double-digit goals in 2 seasons, so that'll be disappointing. I think Callum Wilson has been good, but they're relying on him too much. I can't remember the last time they've won a game without him scoring, so that's an issue. They're going to have to, St. Maximin and Joe Linton and even Almiron are going to have to start chipping in so they can start rising up the table. But I don't think relegation will be an issue with the likes of Sheffield, Fulham, and West Brom in the league.
Yeah, that I wanted to say. I think in fairness, Newcastle fans, I'd say a lot of people outside Newcastle say, "Oh, look, you've stayed up." But if you look who's below them, like they're dead on guarantees to get relegated, especially West Brom and Sheffield, awful teams. Luke, with Chelsea, I think it's Thiago Silva back. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's injured, right? Thiago Silva.
Yeah, he's out injured.
Okay, he's injured. Can you see maybe a weakness there for Chelsea not having the best centre back there? Do you see a possibility for Newcastle to nick anything in this game?
I only think it's a weakness if he plays Christensen, to be honest. I think Zuma's a decent defender. I don't rate Christensen. I think he can be easily bullied, but I don't see Christensen even being bullied if he plays because Newcastle have actually lost Wilson. He's out for a sustained period of time, judging by Bruce's comment. So that's not good for them, obviously. And they now have a severe lack of goals in the team. So I don't see Newcastle scoring, and I see Chelsea winning easily, to be honest.
Yeah. You know what? Before we do the predictions quickly, you know what I did understand is, yeah. So obviously tomorrow he went out on loan to AC Milan. He's doing okay. I actually didn't understand that at all because I actually rate tomorrow. Maybe I'm missing something. Jamie, you can fill me in. Has he been bad? Like, or why do you think he's gone out on loan? Because like I think he's better than Christensen. He's probably I rate him over Rudiger too.
The main reason he went on loan is Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard seemed to just, after last season, as soon as he brought in Thiago Silva, was like, all right, we don't need you anymore. And I think he's the best young centre-back at the club. He's one of the best in the country in terms of, in the Champions League, especially last year, some of the performances he was putting in were just unbelievable. Like, for his age, were just unbelievable. And then we send him out on loan with a buy clause for AC Milan. We do have a buyback clause in the contract, but it's another one of these things where we send out a young centre-back on loan. He looks amazing. He's been playing amazing for AC Milan of recent. He was amazing at our club. It's just I think the managerial change to Tuchel, if it had happened earlier, he would have been starting in the team. I think he could have formed maybe a partnership kind of with Hudson-Odoi at right wing back and him at right centre back if he was sticking with a three at the back, because their connection in the youth academy, they know how each other plays.
Yeah. What I understand is like Thiago Silva, you bring him in. Surely Tomori is perfect for that sort of scenario. Like you have a really experienced, fantastic centre back beside him who he's going to learn from, and then you've shipped him off to AC Milan, who maybe if they not even win this area, if they get top four in Italy, and then Tomori might want to stay if he's playing regularly in the team, and then they can buy him. It's just like I really didn't understand it, because I think he's very good. Obviously, like he probably did make mistakes last year, of course, but it was his first season in the Premier League. He was always going to make mistakes, and I think the lack of patience maybe from the top of Chelsea might have influenced that. But I do think Tuchel would have definitely kept him 100%. So that being said, we'll do predictions. Jamie, your team at home against Newcastle. What are you saying?
If Werner scores, it'll be 4-0.
Okay. Luke?
2-0 Chelsea.
Charlie?
3-0. I reckon Werner will get a brace.
I'm going to go with 3-0 too. I was going to go with 3-1, but I think 3-0, especially the fact you're at home. Yeah, 100% Chelsea win there. And then lastly, before I shoot off to college there, Arsenal versus Leeds. I was just looking at the table there, and I think the table doesn't tell any lies, especially for Leeds. 22 games, 10 wins, 10 losses, obviously the 2 draws. It just sums up Leeds, isn't it? It's either you're going to get them, it's either going to be an absolute hammering they're going to have to take, or they're going to be a team company, or it's going to be an entertaining game. I think Leeds definitely don't suit Arsenal 100%. I think their high kind of intensity could cause huge problem for Arteta. To be honest, Leeds are a weird one for me. I think they get the kind of media praise. They're so excited to watch. Look at Bielsa. I'm just like, there's some of those some games I watched, especially against United. I was like, why are you going to, I know it's your style of play and all, but why are you going to Old Trafford and playing that open? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And maybe that's where Arsenal could really get some return, really, in this game. Luke, going to you first. Arsenal are just below Leeds in the table too. Like, it's a weird one. You don't really know what else you're going to get. What do you think Arteta needs to do if he wants to kind of, number one, bypass the Leeds press, and then subsequently expose them because they're very open?
I think he needs to play his best 1v1 players. I think he should start Pepe and Saka, and Leeds play a very 1v1 man-marking game. So if he can get away from one of them, that'll drag others over out of position. That means others will be unmarked. So, and also to get out of the press, you need to be able to hold the ball up. So maybe Lacazette could start up front and maybe lay the ball off to the pacier players around them. And then I think Arsenal are in with a real chance in this game, because if you look at them, I think they are a better team than Leeds, but only just. But I think if you give the likes of Pepe space to run into, I think he can really exploit that. So I think Arsenal should be in with a chance in this game.
Yeah, just to add, actually, Arsenal are missing Partey, definitely, which is a big miss. I think look at the one thing I would say though, I do agree. I think they do need to play the best one-on-one players. They're going to run at Leeds and try to push them back. But one thing I would say is, I look at kind of Arsenal midfielders, and I'm just like, are any of them really press resistant? Is Xhaka press resistant? I don't think so. I think he can get caught in the ball a lot. And then obviously I think they'll play, my guess would be El Neni, or El Neni or Ceballos, actually Ceballos, I'd say. So I think that could definitely be a worry. But I think for me, definitely the way Leeds play, the structure that they play, I think Arsenal could get real kind of, they could really hurt Leeds if they have someone in the pocket. Like this is why I think Odegaard might start. Charlie, what do you think? Do you think or Smith Rowe? Sorry, Smith Rowe as well. Would you like to see Odegaard start this game to show what he's about, because he is highly rated across Europe?
Yeah, I think he will probably play. I don't think Smith Rowe's been that great the last like 2 or 3 games, so I think Odegaard will come in. But I actually think Leeds are favourite for this game because Arsenal have just tweeted Tierney can't play either.
Ooh.
So that's a massive loss because he's basically their attack recently. Like they don't really create from anywhere else. If we're being honest, maybe Odegaard can help them with that. Can Aubameyang play? Or is he back?
Hasn't been playing.
Yeah,
I don't think he has been playing a lot recently.
Yeah, I think he'll probably come back in. So, but I actually reckon Leeds will nick something out of this game.
Yeah, Jamie, just moving on to Leeds then. Would you class them as favourites though for this game, despite being away? I know it doesn't really make a difference, but anyways.
No, I don't think they're favourites for the game. I think they will win it, but I think going into the game, people are looking at Arsenal, looking at the signing of Odegaard, his first start. It's more excitement build up for the Arsenal fans, seeing if they signed another wonder kid on loan. Will he perform?
Yeah.
They have Ceballos, and Ceballos was the same a few years ago at Madrid. He came over to England and he hasn't really done much. They just got him back because they needed depth in the squad and it was easy to get another loan move. I think Odegaard's a lot better. I think he suits playing against a press team with the way he played at Sociedad last season and during this first half of this season. So I hope he starts, but I don't see, if he doesn't start, I don't see Arsenal winning.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've been playing a lot of Smith Rowe. I think it's happened a lot across all clubs. It's same with Jones, Liverpool. If you keep playing these youngsters, like even though they're full of energy, they're full of legs, they can play every 3-4 games. It's just you're kind of exposed them to maybe make mistakes, not play as well. You kind of want to nurse them a bit better. So I see like there's no point not playing Odegaard. For me anyway. Just before we go, last predictions. I'll go first. Arsenal Leeds. I'm gonna go with 2-2. Jane, what are you saying?
I'm going to go with 3-2 Leeds. They're going to score in added time after the 90.
That'll be limbs on Twitter, honestly. Charlie?
Yeah, I was going to go with 3-2 Leeds as well. I'm not sure about the after the 90 bit, but yeah, 3-2.
And Luke?
I was going to go with 3-2 to Arsenal. I think Rafinha can definitely get at Cedric at left back because Rafinha is just a brilliant player. I'd actually love him at United, but yeah, I think Arsenal will win.
Okay, that rounds up anyway, lads. I better shoot off to college. I haven't got an email yet from the lecturer, so hopefully he's asleep maybe, or I don't know. Hopefully I don't, because I hate his lecture. But anyway, thanks Charlie, Luke, again. Thanks Connor. You're going to be watching this again, and thanks Jamie for coming on. Hope to have you on again soon. Subscribe, of course, send to all your mates, and yeah, thanks for watching.